Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of Just Parlays with Chris King. Breaking news, and somebody that we have with us who is very excited about this is our buddy Scott Steen. The news is if Tyreek Hill has gone to Miami in a trade, why Miami would send everything except for South Beach to Kansas City to get Tyreek Hill, who undoubtedly is a spectacular player. There is no question of that. What the question is, what the hell is he going to do in Miami?
So I think that they also offered to trade the corpse of Don Shula.
Yeah, well, good luck on that. Let's bring in Scotty out in KC. Scott, hey, how you doing, buddy?
Not the best day, guys. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell Miami's going to do with him. You got to throw the ball to him, and Tua is not necessarily the guy. He might be the long handoff guy. The 10-yard and pray to God that he'll breaks it 50 yards.
I think they're going to frustrate him is what they're going to do with him because he's going to run 50 yards down the field and Tua's going to throw it 38 yards. So
yeah, that's being generous.
I don't know what they're going to do. I know Chris has to be doing a happy dance over there as a Bills fan. But
I just don't understand what the perspective was. I know that they said negotiations stalled on an extension. What made Kansas City decide to pull out of this so quickly?
Well, they've got some real cap issues, and they have a lot of needs on that team to address, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'm hoping there's another big move on the horizon. Don't know what it would be. But around here, we say trust in Brett Veach, who's our GM, and he's done a good job so far. So we'll see what's going to be part two of this whole Tyreek Hill situation. I like what they got for him. They got a little more than the Packers got for Devontae Adams. They got a first and a second, and they threw in 3 more draft picks, a fourth, and they got a fourth and a sixth in next year's draft. So, it's not a bad haul. Personally, I would have liked to have seen a defensive starter come back in the package, but it's not the way it is. And if he was ready to move on and the Chiefs were ready to move on from him, we're just fans. We're just the ones that pay the bills. What they care about what we think.
Well, if you were Brett Veach, would you have given him the 4-year, $120 million extension that Miami just signed him to, $72 million guaranteed money?
I just think that's too much for a wide receiver. I get the economics of it. You can't. I just don't see a world you can give your quarterback $40 million and your receiver $30 million and hope to compete with the rest and fill out the rest of the team with quality players. So they're not getting rid of Mahomes. So somebody's got to go, and that's going to be the guy that's going to make the second most amount of money. So
I figured that they would have dumped Frank Clark by now on the defensive side of the ball, but
I was really surprised. I think they're going to restructure him, and I was really surprised that they kept him around. He seemed like a lot of dead weight. He didn't really produce much, especially during the regular season. He still has that gun charge that's hanging over his head that there's going to be investigated sometime this season. I guess with the way that it was, and the lack of edge rushers that we have, they didn't feel like they could even get rid of Frank Clark. So could be an interesting season. Could be the Bills. Yeah. Could be the Bills' time, Chris.
We can only hope.
Scotty, what about a situation with the wide receivers? Okay, you can't replace Tyreek Hill. Okay, right. That's nobody can replace that. But there are some free agents out there that are reasonable and decent, and the kid from Pittsburgh, James Schuster, comes to mind.
We brought him in. We've signed Juju,
right?
But they've got rid of Hill. They got rid of Byron Pringle from last year, who was a pretty solid number 2/3 wide receiver type guy.
Right.
And they got rid of Robinson as well. So
I didn't know they got rid of Robinson. I knew he was out there.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. Isn't the thing with Schuster that I like is he's a good slot receiver. I don't think he's an outside the numbers receiver, which is where Tyreek Hill was.
No, and I agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they try to do with him. I think they're going to try to shove a round peg into a square hole. So we'll see what happens with that. If they've got somebody else in mind that's going to be your RW or the WR1 on the outside, I'd sure like to see it. And all we can do, we're just kind of holding our breath right now in KC. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Everybody woke up this morning. We had about 2 hours worth of Tyreek Hill. They've stalled out on negotiations, and then about half an hour later, he gone. So I can tell you, Chiefs Twitter is ablaze right now.
What are they saying? Are they saying that this is a dumb move? What are we doing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, I nailed it without even looking.
Very few people are happy about it. Very few people have tweeted out.
The radio station out there is was it WHB? Is that the station? Yeah.
That's the big sports talk station.
That's Kansas City's voice to the world, and
right.
I'm quite certain that the guys over there have some things to say as well going on this afternoon.
Oh, I guarantee you, sports talk radio is going to be blowing up here in KC. I was watching actually the confirmation hearings in the Supreme.
And me too,
in the Senate. So it just kind of caught me by surprise. My son started blowing up my timeline, and then everybody else did as well. Started blowing me up on text and everything, and I played catch up. And I have
confirmation on the confirmation hearings. I have her making it to the Supreme Court and the under. So
yes, I agree. What are you, somewhere around 50, 55 and a half, 54 and a half?
Is that the over?
I don't know.
We're just randomly throwing out numbers because it's easier.
Yeah. I was kind of amused to find out that Loving versus Virginia should have never become national law.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Jesus, yeah, right. Another story for another time. But
yeah, and for those of you betting on that one, don't hold your breath. Okay, so well, Scott, so you want to hang around, or you got stuff to do?
I have to go measure the noose. I have to make sure that it's got 13 loops, and I'm not going to just fall and land on my feet. So
I'm looking forward. You have a surprise.
Oh, and I have to make sure that you write in that I get all your stuff.
That's right.
Okay, you got to.
That's in my contract.
You got to tune in at 3:00 today for
right.
Scott and Scott next. Well, which you always should do.
Yes.
No question about it.
You'll get a live update on how the noose is going.
But if there's just an empty chair in Scott Reichel, you guys know that I'm successful. I think as a Chiefs fan, the bottom line is you just can't pay $70 million to two guys.
No,
you just can't do it and hope.
Then you got 50 guys named Mo.
All right, 50 guys named Mo.
Right, so, exactly right. So
you can't play that game, and that's what happens when you get. It's the old saying: don't get too attached to these people because they're. Cal Ripken once told me in an interview that Major League Baseball had become a situation where, from when he grew up and played baseball, it was a team, and now it's 26 independent contractors.
I totally agree. That seems exactly right, and that's
what we're getting in sports these days. Is don't look at it as a team, look at it as a group of people who come together and practice, but they're interchangeable parts. From coaches to general managers to everybody but the owners. So.
Just the early slice of the Twitter situation with Kansas City Chiefs fans, it seems to be almost 50-50. Hey, Tyreek, thanks for 6 great years. Good luck in your future endeavors. And then the other 50% are, you are dead to me. We hate you. It's all about the money. You're a low character guy, bringing up the problems from his past. Glad to finally see you gone. So it's a good time to be a passive aggressive Chiefs fan is what I'm saying to you.
Well, I guess that from what I can glean from what Chris had told me, what you guys were just talking about, that was pretty much the package they were wanting to send to Houston to get Deshaun Watson. I'm talking about Miami.
Right. That's the same kind of numbers that I'd heard there.
So
now, if you would have put Tyreek and Deshaun Watson together, now you're talking. But with Tua, or I guess they brought in Teddy, right?
Right.
Yeah, Teddy will be the backup down there. Yeah.
Oh,
Tua will definitely be able to play because Tua will get a hangnail or something.
I'll tell you what. I would rather have Teddy Bridgewater quarterbacking than Tua.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know how good Tua could have been without the injuries, but we'll never know because I think he was damaged goods when he hit the Dolphins, and I just don't think he's
Yeah, and I don't want to throw that much shade on the guy, but he just can't throw the ball deep.
No.
I'll
and
throw shade on him because he plays in the AFC East. He's not a good quarterback.
You know,
I know everybody wants to talk about, well, now they got 2 offensive linemen. Well, unfortunately, an offensive line still consists of 5 guys, and the other 3 guys aren't that good.
Right. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely right.
Sure, you paid Teron Armstead a bunch of money. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Unfortunately, unless you play him at right tackle, it's not going to block his blind side because Tua's left-handed.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole different situation where you got the right tackle instead of the left tackle. You're exactly correct. So
yeah, there you go.
I don't know. We'll see.
So 3 p.m. is when Scott come on with Back to the Window.
Mm-hmm.
They follow us on the Max Wagers Network.
That's
so
right.
Make sure you tune in to see what they've got going on too.
And
like Steve
I
said,
really
unless you see an empty chair at 3 o'clock in Reichel, in which case you can buy autographed photos of Scott Reichel for 99 cents.
You could, well, if you see Scott, an empty chair and a bottle of Jack Daniels, you know what has happened.
That's it. That's exactly right. It'll just be an upside down bottle of Jack Daniels in my spot.
Yeah.
So we do have kind of a fun surprise. I don't want to oversell it, but it's something we've been talking about for a while. We are going to debut it today, so it should be some fun.
Okay, looking forward to it. It's I've had a preview, a verbal preview of what it's like, but I'm looking forward to it.
What we were telling you yesterday, was it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So
before you were listening to Chicken Foot?
Yes. No, it's not nothing with that. But
no, I said before you were listening to Chicken Foot.
Yes, it is similar to that. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for letting me come on.
Hey, anytime.
I appreciate it.
You're family. Drop by anytime.
I needed to yell at somebody besides the wife and the dog about this. So
no, that's what we're here for, Scott.
Have a great show. Keep giving out those winners, boys.
We'll do our best, and we'll have everybody watching you in about a little less than an hour.
You got some winners yesterday, so
we're all right. So go Chiefs.
There you go.
Take care, guys.
Bye, Tyree.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah. All right, Scott. Thanks for dropping by. Let me take care of a little business here. First and foremost, let's talk about our friends at BetMGM because they've got an opportunity for you to make a little money and in many ways not have to spend any money. So, we're all about that. If we can do something and make money and not have to spend money, then let's do it. So here's the deal. BetMGM is going to give new customers a risk-free bet on your first sports wager of up to $1,000. Now, only players that are new are eligible, okay? For this bonus, it must be claimed within 7 days after signing up. Now, once you have created an account and made your first deposit and place any real money sports bet of $10 to $1,000, BetMGM is going to match that for you. Okay, so that's a cool thing. You bet $10, it's worth $20 to you. You bet $50, you get the idea. And so it's all in the show box below. Remember, you have to be 21 years of age to participate. And, we hope that you always bet responsibly. Okay, cool. All right, that's from BetMGM. And we'll get that one out of the way because we have another one coming up later. And, Chris, let's talk a little bit before we get going here about the contest that's coming up. 2 things. One, you can get your Sweet 16 Better's Guide at Winners and Whiners. All of that is in the show box below, so be sure to check that one out, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, here's the deal. Explain to us, Chris, $10,000, and you don't have to pay a penny to be part of this contest.
Right. That's the contest that they're coming up with where they're going to have 15 different questions that you'll answer yes or no about once we get to the Elite 8. It'll talk about which side you're going to lean towards. There'll be player props in there, a bunch of other things that are being mixed in. I know they're still formulating the questions. If you manage to get all 15 of them right, you'll win $10,000. whoever finishes in first place, should nobody get all 15, the winner will win $1,000. And like we said, you don't have to put up any money of your own in that situation. So
Right.
It's basically free money.
There you go. And you get to prove how smart you are. How's that? That's pretty cool. So by all means, all of that's in the show box below. You can check out the BetMGM promotions. You can check out the promotions and contests that we just talked about. And you can get your free Sweet 16 betting guide. All in the show box below. Okay. Now, smash that like button, please. And of course, subscribe and hit the bell so you get all of the information on Just Parlays every single day. All right. So let's start on the hardwood. The Texas A&M Aggies and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons.
Yeah, it's an NIT matchup coming to you.
Two pretty good teams.
Yeah, coming to you from College Station. Of course, everybody wants to talk about how Texas A&M should have been in the tournament and wasn't because, apparently losing in the SEC title game wasn't enough, even though they won 22 or 23 games by that point. But, Michigan got in with 17. So you figure it out. Anyway, Wake Forest 25-9. They were 13-7 in the ACC. Texas A&M 25-12, 15-4 at home. They were 9-9 in the SEC this season. Wake Forest good offensively, 16th in the country, 79.3 points a game. They're 10th in field goal percentage, 4th in 2-point shooting, 74th in threes at 8.5. They're 115th in 3-point shooting, and they're 121st at the free throw line. They're going to face a Texas A&M team that's pretty good defensively. Buzz Williams' team allowing only 66.5 points a game. They're 88th in field goal percentage defense at 41.6%. They're 9th in 2-point defense at 47.4%. So that's going to be a real test for the Demon Deacons as far as shooting the ball goes. They're 102nd in 3-point defense at 32.1%. Texas A&M, they're still above average offensively, averaging almost 73 points a night. Meanwhile, Wake Forest, 205th in scoring defense, putting them below average in Division I, despite being 71st in field goal percentage defense at 41.4%. This game's in College Station. We will see the Demon Deacons just 5-5 on the road this year, while Wake Forest has gone 15-4 at home on the year. They're 7-1 in their last 8 after a straight-up win. They're 6-1 after an ATS win. They're 5-1 in their last 6 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. And you just have to think about the fact that, Wake Forest, yeah, they're here. Yeah, they've turned things around. But, they lost as an overtime to BC in the ACC tournament when they were favored by double digits. Now they have to go on the road. And, Texas A&M comes in with 9 wins in 10 games, and that lone loss was that one to Tennessee where they played for the 4th straight day. I'm going to take Texas A&M at home. They've been off since Saturday. They've had a little bit of rest. Wake Forest hasn't impressed anyone on the road this year. Take the Aggies as they punch their ticket to the most famous barn there is, Madison Square Garden, for the semifinals of the NIT.
And they're only given a couple points.
That's true.
Makes it even more attractive. I know that Lex thinks that Wake Forest is going to surprise everybody. Lex, you could be right. I mean, that's what they call it, betting, as Chris says, and not ATMs. So you could be right, but think about it, Lex, from this standpoint, as Chris just brought out. Okay, you got a Texas A&M who's got a chip on their shoulder because they thought they should have been in the tournament. They're in the NAT. They have a chance to cruise to New York and basically prove to everyone that they were wrong, and they're playing at home. So Wake,
and like I said, I can't get past the bad taste of Wake Forest losing to Boston College as a 10-point favorite in the ACC tournament.
Right.
Plus, you look at some of their road losses. They lost by 4 at Louisville. We know how bad Louisville turned out to be. They lost by 8 to Miami. I mean, they're still in the tournament, sure. They lost by 22 at Syracuse. Now, I don't care. This isn't 1987 when Syracuse was good. This isn't even 2003 when Carmelo Anthony was there. We're talking about 2022 Syracuse with 306-year-old Jim Boeheim, and they finished 16-17.
Mm-hmm.
And you went and lost by 22. That doesn't sit well either. Now you
No.
got to face a Texas A&M team that, like I said, they've got a ton of momentum. They've won 9 out of 10, and their one loss was playing for the fourth day in a row against a Tennessee team that's no longer in the tournament. But for Buzz Williams to turn that team around after an 8-game losing skid from mid-January to mid-February to then turn around and win, 9 out of their last 10 coming in here, 10 of their last 12 going back to February 15th when they beat Florida. That's a big turnaround. And playing at home, you have to like the way the Demon Deacons played. Or not the Demon Deacons, the Aggies. They force a lot of turnovers. And that's something that Wake Forest is going to have to contend with because Wake Forest below average when it comes to hanging on to the ball, 225th in turnover percentage at 19%. Meanwhile, Texas A&M is 9th in forcing turnovers on nearly 24% of opposing possessions. They're third in steal percentage.
Whoops, BYU and Washington State Cougars, but we'll be there in a second. I just wanted to say one quick thing to get your opinion on it. The front line of Texas A&M in their on that basketball team could play for the football team for Jimbo Fisher. Those are big body people.
Yeah, you got some big guys in there. Coleman is 6'8", 243. Javonte Brown is 7 foot, 255. And even their guards are, have some good size. Wake Forest, they've got a couple good guys. Alondis Williams has played fairly well, after he transferred from Oklahoma. They got Jake LaRavia, who toiled in the Missouri Valley for a while at Indiana State. He's played well since he came over. But the problem for Wake is, they don't use their centers. I don't know why Dallas Walton and Kadeem Sy even play because they hardly ever touch the ball. When they do, it's almost by accident.
Oops, yeah.
Because they're a guard-oriented team, and LaRavia, playing the 4 gets a lot of touches too. But I just don't trust Wake on the road, and that's basically what it boils down to. I mean, Steve Forbes, he's done a great job.
Yeah.
Turning that program around. But, going to College Station at the Reed Arena, there's going to be almost 13,000 people there making a bunch of racket. And Wake struggles in those kind of environments. I mean, come on, they struggled in the Carrier Dome. I can understand struggling in Cameron Indoor and stuff, but you lost at the KFC Yum Center or whatever they're calling it now in Louisville. In Little John Coliseum, where I can tell you that people don't really care about basketball in Clemson. And I can tell you that because it's half an hour down the road from here. People talk about football, and then when football's over, they talk about spring football, and then when spring football's over, they talk about baseball. Nobody cares about basketball in Clemson. It's just an afterthought. And you still lost by double digits there.
In the other game, though, one thing we can say for certain, the Cougars are going to win.
That's right. So just bet the Cougars and you're safe.
Right.
But if you want to actually pick a side, I'm going to lean towards BYU. I'm surprised they're only favored by 1.5 at home, as well as they played in Provo. You look in the Cougars. That's the BYU Cougars, by the way.
Right.
14-2 this season at the Marriott Center. Washington State 7-5 on the road. I know Washington State beat SMU. Because Washington State is not exactly what you would consider a pretty offensive team by any stretch. They're 267th in effective field goal percentage at 48%. They take an awful lot of threes for a team that's not necessarily great at shooting them. They're middle of the road in three-point percentage. They just take a lot of threes. And the reason why they take a lot of threes, look at those other numbers. 329th in field goal percentage at 40.6%, and 324th shooting inside the arc at 46%. Now, if you can't knock down more than 4 out of 10 shots from the floor, you're not going to have a ton of success on a regular basis. They've been getting by on their defense. I mean, they're 46th in scoring defense, just under 65 points a game. They hold opposing teams to 41.3% shooting. But BYU is more than capable of putting points on the board. We've seen it all year long, averaging 74.7 a night. They're 79th in field goal percentage. They shoot 52% from inside the arc, 35.8% from three. And they're a decent team at the stripe at 72%. You look at the rosters of these two teams, and BYU has been around these tournaments for a while. They're an experienced team. Mark Pope played in the tournament for a long time with Kentucky. He had success at Utah. What was it, Utah Valley?
Yeah.
So really stuff with all those random Utah schools that nobody's ever really paid attention to. But, they trounced Long Beach State, and Long Beach State played some pretty good basketball down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
They trounced Northern Iowa at home. I'm not saying they're going to go out and beat Washington State by double figures. But, Alex Barcelo, he's been around. He's a senior. Tijon Lucas is a senior. Gideon George is a senior. And the fun thing that, when you think about BYU is John Feinstein, with some of the books that he wrote, would talk about how BYU's got all these 29-year-old sophomores.
Right.
Because, they go on missions and everything else. So they're not really fazed by anything. And they're not going to be fazed by a Washington State defense that, is good, but you have to think that Washington State in February lost 5 in a row before bouncing back and winning 4 of their last 5 in the regular season. Then they beat Cal in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament before losing to UCLA. Now they beat Santa Clara at home and they beat SMU. But going to BYU, you're going to have what do they see at the Marriott Center? Almost 19,000. It's the 10th biggest venue in D1. And if there's one thing from watching BYU basketball, which you get to see every so often, it gets loud in that building, and opposing teams can get rattled unless the other team is Gonzaga, in which case Gonzaga doesn't care. But Washington State is not a Gonzaga team. I think they'll get a little flustered because they don't really have a ton of go-to options offensively. Noah Williams or Michael Flowers, probably their best options. Tyrell Roberts. But after that, there's a big drop-off. Roberts and Flowers have combined for 173 three-pointers this season. The rest of the team has less than that combined. And if Williams gets slowed down, they're going to be in trouble. They don't have a ton of size. Abagidi, 6'10", 225. Guy is 6'11", but he's 210. Not a lot of size as far as weight goes, and that can be tough in the low block. I know that BYU doesn't have a tall roster, but their guys are bulky.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think playing at home will work in BYU's favor.
I've done games there, and one of the things you can say about BYU is, and it doesn't matter whether the team, is got a winning record or a losing record or whatever, they have support. And I mean, that place gets, you said loud, it gets ridiculously loud. You cannot hear yourself. We have sound men who went crazy on that place. It's totally, it's a rocking place. And that when they get on a run, and that's what happens in these kind of games. One team or the other gets on a short run or a long run. Once that starts happening, you can see the other team starting to feel like it's starting to get away from me. The other thing that people forget is BYU is in the upper high desert. It's, again, not unlike Colorado. You've got to deal with issues when it comes to altitude. And so
about 4,500 feet above sea level.
Yeah. So you're talking about a combination of a good basketball team in BYU, a crowd that's going to be, nuts, and altitude. So good luck to Washington State tonight, going on the road to BYU. Well, we got a second, Chris. Let's talk about, now you can get Chris's picks, all right, on all the parlays and all that information. We've got it in the show box below. But we're starting a new contest very soon, and you might as well get in now before we start it, because we'll count you. And that's take any of the picks that we're going to show you in the 2 for the money, 4 for the show, and of course the big one that we like to call the menu. And if you can show us where you've taken any combination, because we tell you, you don't have to tell it you take the 2, the 4, whatever. Pick them from the list.
And for God's sake, don't pick all 10 in the menu on a nightly basis.
What's that?
At least pick all 10 on the menu on a nightly basis.
Right.
At least not on one ticket. Break them up.
Right. Unless you go, this is where you can use your $10 from on BetMGM and do well. Show us your winning ticket, okay? And send it to us via Twitter. And we, take that picture, show it to us on, send it to us on Twitter, and we will enter you in this contest, which is going to start very, very soon. And there's plenty of cool prizes. So by all means, do 2 things. Check out Chris's picks, which you can get emailed to you. And also, when you win, because we know you will, show us that ticket. And that might be your ticket to ride and have some fun on some other things. So from here.
Last night was a good night for that, because the ones that got mailed out, we had a 2-teamer and both the 4-teamers hit last night. And then on the show, we had a 2 and a 4 because everybody wanted to doubt Southern Utah. And hey, look, Southern Utah beat UTEP outright on the road.
Unwise. All right, here we go to the NHNL. We're hitting the ice, folks, and away we go.
Yeah, it's a light schedule on the docket in the NHL tonight, only 4 games. So we'll focus on the Colorado Avalanche, who are prohibitive favorites at home over the Vancouver Canucks at the Ball Arena. Vancouver 30-26-8 as they've managed to get over 500. Mighty props to Jim's buddy Bruce Boudreau for pushing that team, into relevance after they were basically left for dead under Travis Green. You look at the playoff standings as of right now, the Canucks with 68 points are within 5 points of the Stars for the second wild card spot in the West. Colorado, of course, running away with the top record in the league. They're 11 points ahead of the Flames for the top mark in the West. They're 5 points ahead of Florida for the top mark in the league. The Avalanche are a deadly offensive team, and it's going to be a challenge for Thatcher Demko, who's 27-19-4. With a 268 goals against, a 916 save percentage, and 1 shutout against Darcy Kemper, who's supposed to get the start unless they change it. He's 38-2 with a 240 goals against, a 923 save percentage, and 5 shutouts. The Avs are actually 24-3-3 at home this year, 25-3-3. They beat Edmonton the other night. Like we said, Vancouver 16-13-3 on the road. Sadly, one of those losses, at least one of the losses, might be 2 now because I'd have to double check. For the Avalanche at home came to the Coyotes, which is disheartening to say the least. But, these things happen. The Canucks 22nd in goals for at 2.81. They're 14th in goals against at 2.86. Like I said, Colorado is an offensive juggernaut. They're second in the league at 3.83 goals a game, behind only the Florida Panthers in that department. Meanwhile, if you look at home stats, the Avalanche actually see that number jump all the way up to over 4. I think let me double check the number. It is 4.06. And they only give up 2.48 goals per game on home ice compared to their 2.76 number for the full season. The Avs 45-8 in their last 53 as a home favorite. They're also 45-8 in their last 53 at home, which tells you, they're not an underdog at home ever. They're 41-12 in their last 53 games overall. So you're talking about a win percentage of better than 75% in that stretch. The Canucks 1-5 in their last 6 overall, and they're 1-4 in the last 5 meetings with Colorado. I get how well the Canucks have played. They didn't make any sudden deals where they kept JT Miller, they kept Brock Boser, they kept all those guys. Look for Colorado to get the win on home ice.
Yep. And as much as I'm hoping that Bruce can get the Canucks there, it's going to be tough to beat Colorado. And, before we move on to the next one, we're talking about, best record, right? there's a theory that you don't want to win the President's Trophy, which is what you get when you win the best record, because that necessarily has not been, a harbinger of you going on to win the Stanley Cup Finals.
True. I mean, we've seen how that necessarily hasn't panned out all that well for teams in recent years. I'm just taking a look to see, what happened as far as the teams that won the Cup after winning the President's Trophy. You had the Oilers back in 86-87. Then you had the Flames in 88-89. Then you had to go to the Rangers the year where Mark Messier helped them pass Vancouver in 93-94. Then you had a 3 times in 4 year stretch between 98-99 and then 01-02. The Stars won it in 98-99 and won the Cup. The Avs won it in 00-01. Of course, that was Ray Bourque getting his Stanley Cup title and then retiring. Same with Dave Andrechuk and company. Then the Red Wings did it in 01-02. Then you didn't get it again until 07-08 when Detroit did it again. And then the last time that it happened was the Blackhawks in 2012-13, which was the shortened season,
right,
where they only played 48 games. Since then, the Bruins won it in 2013-14. They lost in the second round. The Rangers did it in 2014-15. They lost in the conference finals. The Caps did it back-to-back in 15-16 and 16-17 and lost in the second round both years to Pittsburgh.
Yes, I remember that.
Nashville in 2017-18 lost in the second round to Winnipeg. In 2018-19, it was Tampa Bay winning it, and then they were wiped out by Columbus in the first round, and what I think was probably one of the bigger upsets in recent history. And then last year was the Bruins, 2 years ago was the Bruins, and they lost to Tampa Bay. And then last year was Colorado, and of course they were knocked out by Vegas. So you're right. Probably the Avalanche would rather give the President's Cup over
Let Florida win it. Yes,
to the Panthers, who everybody would like to see, get eliminated sooner
the 12
rather than
people
later.
that go to Sunrise to watch their games, yes, that are going to be upset. So, all right, from the Avalanche and the Canucks, which on as one-sided as this may look, it should be a decent game. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty good game. I think Demko will probably have to stand on his head again, which we've seen him do repeatedly down the stretch. We saw Scott Wedgwood do it to beat Colorado in Colorado, so why not?
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's go from the Mile High City to not so Mile High City.
Yep, we're going to go to Buffalo for this one as the Penguins are on the road for the second game of back-to-back to face the Sabres. Pittsburgh was down 1-0 after 20 minutes yesterday against Columbus and then scored 4 goals in the second period en route to a 5-1 win over Columbus. Now they get to face a Buffalo team that's showed some signs of life on the West Coast road swing as they took down Calgary and Vancouver in overtime after getting pasted by Edmonton last week. So Buffalo comes in with 4 wins in 5 games, but you know what? They're still way below 500 at 22-33-8. They're not going to go to the playoffs again. Do the 11th straight year for them where they won't make the postseason, which, I'm from Buffalo, but, I don't like the Sabres, so I find it hilarious. I know there's people out there like Tim Earl that like to say Sabres for the cup and more power to you, but, the only cup that the Sabres are lifting is usually a red Solo cup full of beer and tears come the end of the season when they realize that everybody else is playing for something and they're just there. Here in this one, it's going to be Casey DeSmith getting the start since Tristan Jerry started last night. DeSmith 6-4-3 with a 299 goals against, a 904 save percentage and 2 shutouts. Will be Craig Anderson 11-9 with a 306 goals against and a 904 save percentage for Buffalo. The Penguins 12th in goals for at 323. They're third in goals against at 255. Sabres 26th in goals for and against. They're 2.624, 3.48 against. The Penguins are 5-1 in their last 6 overall. They're 22-7 in their last 29 as a road favorite. They're 23-8 in their last 31 after giving up 2 goals or less. Buffalo just 25-65 in their last 90 games against Metropolitan Division opponents. They're 14-42 in the last 56 when their opponent gives up 2 goals or less. Pittsburgh 40-14 in the last 54 meetings between these teams, and they've won 20 of the last 26 in Buffalo. If you're gonna go to the KeyBank Center, do yourself a favor, sell your tickets, go get some food, go to Schwabel's and get the beef on weck, go to the Barbell Tavern or the Anchor Bar or Duff's or somewhere, get yourself some wings. Go to any of the pizza places around there. Bocce's is good. Imperial down on Abbott Road in Lackawanna is great. Don't go and waste your money paying for overpriced concessions watching a bad hockey team lose, unless you're a Penguins fan and you got tickets for cheap.
Yeah.
Or you're a masochist and you just like that kind of stuff, in which case,
Actually,
hey, more power to you.
Actually, Pittsburgh isn't that far away, so you could make the trip. And for God's sake, don't go and ask for buffalo wings.
Yeah, if you ask for buffalo wings, you probably won't make it out of the establishment alive. We all hate when you call them that because that's not what they're called. We just call them wings.
Right. Much like when you go to Chinese food, China, you don't ask for Chinese food. You just ask for food. All right. So we have another MGM promo. Now, the first one is free money, right? They match your bet. This one is fun because we're getting ready to go to the association. And you guys have seen this one before. Use your BetMGM app, then place a bet of at least $10 on any game, and you get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. All you have to do is go down below and hit that button in our show box. Remember that you have to be 21 years of age to play, and always bet responsibly. But that's we've been promoting that since before the All-Star break, and it's been one of our most popular promotions for BetMGM. So we have those 2 BetMGM promotions in our show box below. Take advantage of them, folks, and you will enjoy. Now, we're headed to the association where there's some. I heard rumors that there's actually basketball games tonight. Let's see what they got.
There are? Wow, I didn't know about that.
Fade the Lakers. All right.
Yeah, like Tim says, fading the Lakers is a full-time job. I know the Lakers beat Cleveland the other night, but that was a LeBron, coming back to his hometown and, sticking it to the team that, drafted him and that he helped win a title with, and then he stuck it to him again. Unfortunately, this game for them is at the Staples Center. Oh, sorry. No, it's not the Staples Center. It's the Crypto Dome or whatever you want to call it.
Right now, the Rue Morgue, the way that the teams in that building are playing.
Well, I was happy to see that, the Clippers lost yesterday because I had the Nuggets minus 6.5 or 7 or, whatever it ended up at, whatever book you were at. But, the Lakers, let's face it, they're not good. They're fighting to hang on for a spot in the play-in tournament. That doesn't really impress anybody.
Yeah.
I know Frank Vogel's probably going to be the fall guy for this, even though it's not his fault. He didn't put the team together. He didn't ask for Russell Westbrook. He didn't ask for Carmelo Anthony. He didn't ask for Anthony Davis to be injured all the time. But, they, like you say all the time, Jim, you can't fire the team, but you can fire somebody else. The 76ers coming off an impressive win the other day over the Heat at home, despite playing without Joel Embiid and James Harden in a game that made no sense to me because you thought Miami would have won that one comfortably. 76ers are still below average offensively, but the Lakers are terrible on the defensive end of the floor at 114.1 points per game. You have to think, well, the 76ers actually won that game, Lex. But I know what you mean. The faker, and we like to call them the fakers too. They're good. They're decent offensively, but the last thing you want to see in a close game is Westbrook jacking up jumpers that hit the side of the backboard or the top of the backboard. You know, it's going to be an interesting one. 76ers are 3-1-1 in their last 5 as a road favorite. They're 3-1-1 in their last 5 on the road against teams with a winning home record. Lakers 6-23 against the spread in their last 29 after a straight-up double-digit win. That doesn't bode well when you're the Lakers. They're 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 as an underdog, and the 76ers have gone 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 meetings. Quick look at the injury report tells you Anthony Davis won't play again. Not a surprise. Taylor Horton-Tucker and LeBron are both questionable. Horton-Tucker with an ankle. LeBron with that knee injury that only seems to bother him when, he doesn't think his team has a chance of winning. Philadelphia looks pretty much completely healthy as their 3 guys on the injury report are all down in the G League. And Jim's getting a call right now from Kevin Harlan or somebody telling us with breaking news about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. Hey, Allie. Allie's over there watching. Always good to see you. You can jump in if you want. We were just talking about Tyreek Hill getting traded. Here's an interesting stat for you, Chris. We talked about Vogel getting fired in let go or whatever you want to call it at the end of the season in Los Angeles. If that happens, and there's a very good likelihood that it will, then the only franchise that LeBron James played for that he did not get a coach fired is Miami.
Well, yeah, but he tried.
No, he tried. But Pat Riley said, as the saying goes, I'm the general manager. He's the coach. You're the player. Okay. That's how it works here in Miami. If you want to be a coach, then apply for the job. That's how LeBron rolls. I mean, he has to have his guy in place. He cost a couple of coaches their job in Cleveland. Didn't get it done down in Los Angeles and Miami now in Los Angeles. Looks like it's going to happen there. So we'll see.
It's too bad because it's not Vogel's fault that they put together this awful rotation.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, and this is contrary to popular belief. Okay, I don't care who you bring in there. There's still going to be a mess. They've put themselves in cap hell, and getting out of cap hell is not easy. And you just there's too much drama there. And who would have thunk that the better organization in that building would be the Clippers?
I would have said the better organization in that building would be the Los Angeles Kings.
Well, the Kings, yeah, probably true. But the better basketball organization would have been the Clippers. That probably wouldn't have been on anybody's mind. But hey,
but yeah, and you think about Vogel, he's not used to having a bunch of superstar players and stuff like that. Because if you look, he had success in Indiana where Paul George was still an ascending player. Right. He wasn't at the point where he was now. And you look, who was the second best guy on those teams? Roy Hibbert. DJ Augustine, Danny Granger was at the end of his usefulness career at that point. Right. But they won games because they played good defense, and this Lakers team like a team. Yeah, this Lakers team doesn't know what defense is. It's like Fred the Hammer Williamson used to talk about. Terry Bradshaw. He couldn't spell cat if he spotted in the C and the A.
Right.
The Lakers, you could spell out defense, and they still couldn't pronounce it.
Right. So
Vogel will get the ziggy, to quote Dick Vitale, but it's not his fault.
My favorite line on that used to be Hank Stram, who said he's got a banana in his pocket. He's got a banana peel in his pocket. So he's going to be sliding out the door. Okay, Phoenix Suns and Timberwolves. As we look at that awesome record and that ridiculous road record, is there anybody that's going to be able to beat Phoenix when it comes time to play in the playoffs in the West?
In the West, it's going to be tough. I mean, because Phoenix can play on both ends of the floor. They got a lot of depth. You have to figure Cam Johnson will be back. Chris Paul will be back. Who knows? Maybe Frank Kaminsky could be back. I mean, he's only played 9 games all year, but I mean,
they're going to be rested.
Yeah, and you figure they got those guys. They got Devin Booker. They've got DeAndre Ayton. You got guys like Jay Crowder that know their role. JaVale McGee knows his role as a backup guy. It's going to be a tough thing. I mean, you're not going to see. You basically have to play a perfect series in order to take Phoenix down. Now, could it happen? Sure. I mean,
Sure.
Memphis, had John Morant.
Mhm.
I'm sure, Morant and Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane and all those guys can make things difficult for the Suns. Can they beat them 4 times out of 7? It's hard to say. Probably not. Golden State, if they were healthy, maybe. I mean, think about how Curry's hurt now and Green's been hurt for an extended period. Klay Thompson's still figuring out how to play after missing 2.5 years. Iguodala, they don't have a big man. How do you slow things down on the interior? And then, after that, there's a drop off. I mean, Utah is good, but Utah doesn't, the Suns can probably exploit getting Rudy Gobert away from the basket and then making things easier for their shooters. And after that, Denver's still relying solely on Jokic and then hoping that other guys step up. Same with the Mavs. It's Luka Doncic and, insert name here. And then after that, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Now, Minnesota is a team that could get into a track meet with you, but they don't stop anybody.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the Phoenix Suns are the absolute antithesis of the Lakers. They play like a team. They're built to win like a team. And they've got
guys that the Lakers traded to them.
That's exactly right.
Like D'Angelo Russell.
Right. And they're 58-14. I rest my case, as the saying.
Yeah, but I mean, give credit to Minnesota. They're gonna even if it's in the play-in tournament, the Timberwolves are going to be in the playoffs for just the second time since 2003.
Look, you got to give respect to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, they lead the league in scoring offense at 115.4 points a game, despite the fact that they only are 23rd in field goal percentage. The Suns are 4th in scoring offense. They lead the league in field goal percentage. They're 5th in three-point shooting. Minnesota struggles on the defensive end. They give up 112 a night. They're 12th in field goal percentage, 12th three-point defense percentage. Here's the thing with Minnesota. They will run until they can't run anymore, and then they'll just call timeout so that they can run some more.
Right.
They're second in the league in tempo. The Suns, like I said, 6th in scoring defense, and I think that's where the difference in this game comes is from the fact that Phoenix can play defense, and Minnesota's still learning that because you have to think Towns and Russell and Edwards, even though Towns and Russell have been around for a while, they're still younger guys. It takes time to get a cohesive defense. Just ask Tom Thibodeau
in New York,
somebody like that. Yeah, but Phoenix, Monty Williams has had that team together now for a while. They're cohesive. Like you said, they play as a team. They play for the name on the front of the jersey as opposed to the name on the back.
Right.
And when somebody's out of position, somebody else rotates over and forces
turnovers.
Forces the offense to adjust. In the end, I think that the defensive advantage that Phoenix has is what gives them the edge in this one. They're 4-0 in their last 4 when their opponent scores at least 100 in their last game. They're 4-1 in their last 5 overall. Minnesota, for as well as they've played, is just 3-7 in their last 10 as an underdog. And you look and see that the Suns are 4-1-1 against the spread in the last 6 meetings here in the Twin Cities.
Hey, real quick, one of the things that I've watched and been impressed with Phoenix is their ability to get points off of turnovers, because you're talking about the defense, right? And they get numbers quick. They get out of there, and they don't beat themselves, and they get a lot of points on turnovers, which a lot of teams can play defense, but not necessarily can they translate that into points after what they do take the ball away. quick update, and that is watch our entire Max Wagers team, guys. Okay, it starts middays with Midday Money with the man, the legend, Sean Higgs, I should say. Sean Hicks, I'm thinking football. Here we go. Morning Wood with our buddy Allie Burns, who's in the cheap seats over there. She can drop by anytime she wants to, because we always enjoy having Allie on. She's a smart lady and very entertaining. 2 o'clock. Well, you know who we are, or at least I hope we know who we are.
I'm Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan and me. So just parlays is at 2 o'clock. Then the aforementioned, because he was just here, Scott and Scott from 3 to 4. And in game time decisions with our buddies Nick, Tim, and Detroit Lenny at 5 o'clock Eastern time. That's 6 hours, folks. 6 hours that you can enjoy and have fun. And guess what? You might even win something. So we highly recommend that you join us every day, 5 days a week, 6 hours of all kinds of fun, frivolity. And oh, by the way, some pretty good gaming information if you want to win some money. Okay.
It's almost like Scott Hansen on, the Red Zone channel. 6 hours of commercial free.
All right. This is in the 2 months information category. Scott, I've known Scott for a long, long time. Scott tells me that he now has it down where he can do a bathroom break in 90 seconds because that's all the time he has at times doing that Red Zone show. So in the too much information category, Scotty, our bladders reach out to you, my friend. All right. So
yeah, we should call him and get him on.
Yeah. We now get to go to 2 for the money. And here we go. And boom.
Yeah, we talked about these ones already, but hey, why not again, right? It's the Suns. We said I like them over Minnesota. I know that Minnesota's going to be an ascending team. I wouldn't be surprised if they make noise in the Northwest Division for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you're playing the best team in the league.
Right.
It's tough to beat the Suns. As we've seen, they've only lost 14 times in 72 games. It's a small line. I'll take it. Tim Earl says fade the fakers. Lex said fade the fakers.
Why not?
Why not? Embiid and Harden are going to play. They're not on the injury report. Philadelphia should win this one convincingly if they want to be taken seriously, not just in the Atlantic Division, but in the Eastern Conference as a whole. Texas A&M over Wake Forest. I just think playing at the Reed Arena and the way that Texas A&M has looked down the stretch, they get the advantage over the Demon Deacons. I just don't trust Wake Forest on the road, I don't trust their defense. And then we said the Avs over Bruce Boudreau and the Canucks. I know that Spanky's done a good job getting Vancouver back into contention, but it's tough to beat Colorado at the Ball Arena. And they just have too many offensive weapons for Vancouver to hang with.
There you go. 4 for the money. I'm sorry, 2 for the money, 4 for the show.
Hey, look, Jim Nathan said he hit a 5-teamer that he'll create and send over via Twitter.
All right.
I thought you didn't have a Twitter, Nathan. Did you come up with one, or you mean you're going to create a Twitter? And Sly, good to see the Winnipeg Jets blanked Vegas last night. Like we said we didn't say it was going to be a shutout, but we did say they were going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to see another nice outing from Connor Hellebuyck. In the 4-teamer, we're going to, we rode Middle Tennessee yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried at halftime when they were down 7 or whatever. Then I watched them completely blow out Abilene Christian in the second half. I know with 14 minutes into the second half, Abilene Christian had made 1 field goal in the second half at that point. On the plus side, it went over too. So, it was a double win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to take them over UNC Wilmington. I know that, these games are going to be tough because they're playing the second, third, fourth, whatever day in a row. It's going to take a toll. But I think Middle Tennessee, the way they played yesterday in the second half and just put the boots, a good Abilene Christian team that likes to run, they should get the better of UNC Wilmington.
And the Cougars are going to win.
Right. The Cougars are going to be victorious in the next game. So there you go. I like the Nets -1.5 over Memphis. Of course, Ja Morant has been ruled out unless something changed that I haven't been told about, in which case
I haven't seen anything.
I was gonna say, in which case I would fire my my researcher,
team.
which is me. So, but no, he's still listed as out according to the injury report with a sore knee. Seth Curry is questionable for the Nets. Goran Dragic is doubtful. But guess what? It's a road game, so you get to see Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and it's gonna be tough. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Memphis without Morant. I mean, we saw them have some issues the other day. It's tough when you're minus your superstar point guard.
For sure. And we already said we like the Pens to go
Beat
by
the Sabres.
Buffalo. Yeah.
And yet, James, the Bonnies, we talk all the time on this show. We've talked about it since we started, about how free throws are a critical part of winning games. And St. Bonaventure was down 51-50 with 10 seconds to go. Jaden Gardner missed a free throw for Virginia. St. Bonaventure got a rebound, went down the floor. Kyle Lofton was fouled with 5 seconds to go, went to the line, hit both free throws. Virginia had one last chance to try and win. Kihei Clark went for a layup and got stuffed by Osun Osuniye. And the Bonnies go on. They get to go to go to Madison Square Garden, play in the semifinals. They'll play Xavier next week.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this just goes to show you, all these teams that play in smaller conferences, and the A10, it's a good conference, but it's a mid conference. They get overlooked. They get sent to go to Colorado. They have to play the Buffaloes, Tad Boyle's team out there in Boulder. They beat them. So then they get stuck going to Oklahoma and play Porter Mosier and his team in Norman. They beat them. And then they get rewarded by going to have to play Tony Bennett in Charlottesville. And they beat them, and they still don't get a home game because now they have to go to Madison Square Garden. Now, it just goes to show you that, the mid-major teams that can be undervalued and then get screwed when it comes to getting home games in these tournaments because they think that the big-name schools are going to put more fans in the seats. I can guarantee you the Riley Center in Olean, New York would have been sold out had St. Bonaventure been at home for any one of those 3 games.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to fly through the menu here. So we already talked about the Deacons and the Aggies. So
yeah, I'm looking for it to go over. I just think that there's going to be a ton of points in that game. Texas A&M likes to score. Wake Forest, very good offensively. They're going to push the tempo. It'll end up over. I think Washington, the Battle of the Cougars is going to stay under. Like we said, Washington State plays good defense. They're not great offensively. Speaking of unders, Youngstown State and Fresno State. We know Fresno State plays defense. We also know Fresno State doesn't score any points. We saw some ugly games involving the Bulldogs down the stretch of the regular season, including that 53-46 loss in the Mountain West tournament to San Diego State. I just don't think that we're going to see a ton of points here. Youngstown State is a 14-point underdog last time I looked in that one, but still don't expect a ton of points. Middle Tennessee and UNC Wilmington. We talked about it. I like the Blue Raiders to win the game. I also think it's going to go over 136. I'm surprised the number's that low, seeing that both teams put up more than 80 points yesterday. Wilmington had 80. And Middle Tennessee had 84, 85. James, we're on still because Scott came on to talk about Tyreek Hill. We'll be off in a minute, and then you can catch up with them.
Right, we're getting you over there.
Oklahoma City and Orlando. Who the hell came up with the bright idea that this should be a 221-point line, seeing that they just played the other day and the final score was 90-85?
No idea.
Orlando's playing the second game of back-to-back. They beat Golden State 94-90 yesterday. I got news for you. There should be no way in hell that this number gets anywhere near that. If it does, I'll be very surprised. The Spurs minus 9.5 over Portland. Portland is a train wreck. They don't have much of a rotation right now. Their injury report is 3 miles long. Damian Lillard's done for the year. Eric Bledsoe's out. Josh Hart is out. Nasir Little's out. Jusuf Nurkic is out. Anthony Simons is out. Meanwhile, for the Spurs, Devontae Haycock, Romeo Langford, Doug McDermott, DJ Stewart, Lonnie Walker IV, and Robert Woodard II, all not playing tonight either. But the Spurs still have DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl and stuff. That should be enough to get them to win. The Heat over the Warriors, -7.5. Golden State looked awful yesterday against Orlando, 90 points. Now you have to go and face Miami, who's angry after losing that game to Philadelphia the other night. Look for a win for the Heat. We talked about the Sabres and the Penguins. I look for it to stay under 6. They've had a lot of success playing low-scoring games lately. Same with Colorado, Vancouver. I look for that to stay under the number as well. And just to be different, the Blackhawks and the Ducks over 6. I saw a question asking about the Maple Leafs tonight. I think the Maple Leafs will beat New Jersey just because New Jersey is playing the second game on back-to-back. Of course, they screwed us over yesterday by beating the Rangers 7-4. I don't like UNC Wilmington to win. Like I said, I was leaning towards Middle Tennessee. And the Avs, we talked about them. I think they'll beat Vancouver.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here so we can let you go see Scott and Scott at 3 o'clock.
Make sure you come back and let us know tomorrow if there was just a noose and an empty bottle of Jack Daniels on Steve's desk. So I know not to text him anymore.
There you go. Save the time. And, be sure to check the show box below because it's got all the BetMGM information in it. It's got all how you can get Chris's picks sent directly to your email box. It's got all kinds of fun stuff down there. How you can get the Sweet 16 booklet that's coming out, and also how you can be part of our free contest where you might win $10,000. Okay, all of that's in the show box below. On the way, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell so that you get the updates on when we're going to be on, which is 2 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, so everybody have a great day. It's been fun. We've enjoyed it, and we will see you tomorrow right here on Just Parlays with the man, who legend, Chris King.